Hey guys, welcome back. This is HD, and it's time for game number 3, still currently Monday. That's right, HD's now giving you guys calendar updates as to when and where he's casting. Not where he's casting. Don't want a bunch of people, knocking on my front door and barreling it down. So yeah, it is still currently Monday. This is game number 3 between MMA and Lucira. This is once again from MLG Columbus, and it is the grand final series. If you guys haven't seen the first couple of games, I would advise you guys to check it out. I mean, it's kind of like opening a book and reading halfway in the book, like starting after chapter 5. Might be cool if you're in school, you don't want to read the first couple boring chapters. But this is an awesome novel telling the tale of two very, very good players of Starcraft 2. And in fact, just an epic series in general. MMA versus Lucira. MMA coming from Slayers, well, not coming from Slayers Boxer, but coming from the Slayers clan, tutored by Boxer himself. Lucira, the up-and-coming rising Zerg star, one of the best in the GSL, really, and has defeated OGSMC in a prior game that I casted. If you guys haven't seen that one, that was an electrifying series, so make sure to check it out. And with that aside, that's all the introductions I wanted to say. This is going to be game 3. It is currently tied 1-1 apiece. Any player can take it away, and it is Typhoon Peaks for game 3. Now, this map, definitely one of the maps that is unique in the way that it is a very large map, as you guys can see, very, very big, but it has the ability to be a quick, it has the capacity to end in a quick way. And the reason why I say that is because you've got this passageway which kind of links from your base to your opponent's base in a very short manner. And one thing that Terran players can do so well on a map like this is mech. Mech is such a viable strategy on this map, and you guys might be wondering, well, why do certain maps favor certain strategies or certain races? And it all comes down to the terrain. On a map like this, where you've got this narrow passageway and all these cliffs and ledges, siege tanks are king. They are the king of the land, and it's very difficult for Zerg players to deal with tanks on a map like this. So I would expect to see most Terrans utilize mech to a very high degree on a map like this, but this is MMA, and MMA is one of those players that really loves his Marine and his drops. Marines and drops are a very good strategy as well when a player has the multitask to execute it properly. MMA is certainly a player of that caliber. It's basically his signature move to kill off Zerg players. It's like the Stone Cold Stunner of the Zerg, or of the Terran against the Zerg. So it's very viable. It's very good. MMA here, interestingly, is opening up with a Reaper early on here, and he is actually going to only make one Reaper immediately into a command center. The drone here gets in there and sees the barracks and the tech lab, but did the drone see the command center? Yes, it did, and that is going to completely reveal the opening strategy here to Lucira. And Lucira immediately will be getting speed on the way because he knows that there's Reapers on the map, and Speedlings and Queens are the way to deal with Reapers. You don't necessarily want to commit to Roaches, simply because Roaches will, they're not that great against Terran in the mid game and to late game. But yeah, he's going to be getting that speed going. Shouldn't lose too many Zerglings or drones here. You want to limit, if you're a Zerg player, you want to limit the amount of units you lose to this initial Reaper to 2 or 3 at most. And speed should finish in time to deal with the Reaper when it returns. Lucira now coming in with the Overlord to check on the command center, and it sees the double gas here, but doesn't see the buildings down here. Oh, that's just the same buildings as before, really. Yeah, I guess MMA just kind of swapped his buildings around, and oh wow, MMA, yeah, it was not the same command center. Actually, a second command center deceived my eyes for a second there. MMA here is gonna go for a macro CC, and this is a strategy that has become wildly popular in South Korea. Now I'm a little hesitant to broadcast this game because now we're going to see so many Terrans, I feel like, using this strategy. This is such a powerful and viable strategy because a Terran that goes for the macro CC, they're able to just keep their command centers in their base, constantly produce meals and SCVs. It triples the rate of production you would get and the income you get to a very high degree. Now, I don't know if Lucira saw that macro CC. No, he did not. So right now, he has no idea that MMA is going for this macro CC build. the vulnerability that a Terran player gets when they do this is they don't have any units whatsoever. Look at the paltry amount of units MMA has, and of course it forces the Terran player to go for quick siege tank so that he has enough defenses to hold off the front door against any kind of an attack. Now Lucira is going to be going for a Baneling bust here. Wow, Lucira going for the exact build that you need to do to counter the macro CC build. Essentially, you have two choices. Either you bum rush a Terran player early on, when he grabs his natural expansion with Banelings, or you try to just double expand and out expand the Terran player. I think Lucira here has chosen the aggressive option. He is gonna have to do a lot of damage with these Zerglings and Banelings. Gonna get the Banelings right up the front door. The supply depot not lowered in time. Couple of the Banelings, only a couple allowed inside the main though, as most of them blew up. All the SCVs at the natural are going down as a result. Looks like all the Banelings here did go down. The SCVs here quickly repairing that supply depot, realizing that it was in danger of burning to death. And it looks like MMA holds the Baneling bust, but I think he lost quite a few SCVs, losing about 7. However, I do believe right now that MMA is ahead, even though he is behind in Harvesters. Remember guys, he's got that macro CC in the back. He can quickly replenish that SCV count, but not if Lucira comes in here with his Zerglings and constantly harasses the Terran. But of course with that siege tank up there, good lord, 28 kills? Man, that guy deserves a promotion. That tank is such a baller. It's been getting kills from 1992, and great play though, great defense by MMA. I have to say, getting that siege tank up just in the nick of time allowed him to hold that off. Now Lucira, I believe he saw the macro CC. He knows exactly what MMA is doing. So to counter this, he has immediately opted to grab a quick hatchery. But I don't know if this is the best location to put a hatchery. I wonder why Lucira didn't get the hatchery down here, which would have been such a much more safer choice. Getting the hatchery here leaves it vulnerable to the mech and to siege tanks. Now, maybe he's banking on MMA not going for siege tanks, but I mean, MMA has already got a couple tanks out. And I don't think he's going to be relying on tanks just for that fast expand security. I think he's going to be going for mech this game, especially like I said on this map, Typhoon Peak, so effective. So I'm boggled right now why Lucira decided to grab the hatchery at this vulnerable kind of valley where there's these hills just all around where tanks can perch themselves and just shell the drone line and shell that hatchery to death. So I don't know what Lucira is doing now. Lucira may be having a bit of a BSOD. I don't know, maybe he just wanted to be aggressive with that hatchery and start to spread the creep right away, and you know, get some cancerous growth going to the Terran player immediately. Perhaps that's that is his prerogative and that's his choice, but I don't know, it may prove to be his undoing in the later stage of this game. MMA now has actually got a pretty sizable Marine tank army, and if we check his upgrades, he doesn't quite have stim yet, but he went for shields first. Once again, Terran players going for shields first. I scratched my head as to why. I guess because MMA originally was on the defensive mindset, and of course shields are better for defense. But now MMA's got a sizable force, and I'm pretty sure he's kind of wishing he had stim instead, because he can certainly do a lot of damage with this Marine tank army. Lucira here has a lot of drones though. Wow, 75 drones. Good Jesus. That is so many drones. But that drone count could fall in the next couple of moments. MMA is making a very calculated push right here, and it's all going to come down to his micro. He's even wisely throwing up a couple of bunkers here, which is going to make that tank Marine army that much more difficult to break. Lucira, though, going to be going for a counterattack with Zerglings, and he does have quite a bit, but with the bunkers at the front door, I don't think Lucira will be able to break that, and he's actually forced to pull all the drones away from the natural. The tank up here able to siege. That is the 30-kill tank. That is Giorgio the tank. Call him Giorgio. I'm going to give him a nickname. He wants that promotion so bad. He is now sieged up over the third expansion. He's starting to shell the hatchery down. Lucira actually really in a lot of trouble. He cannot break this tank line. And that's exactly what I was saying on a map like this, Typhoon Peaks. Tanks are king. And Lucira here having a lot of trouble. He's got a lot of Banelings, guys. But I don't know if he can roll in there with just pure Banelings. I don't know. It's going to be certainly an interesting idea if he does. Actually now has Burrow and is opting to burrow Banelings both outside the natural and outside this little secret hallway here. that could prove to be disastrous. Now, Lucira is gearing up. It looks like he's gearing up to break this tank line. And it now is the time to do it. MMA actually has his tanks on siege. Needs to siege up his tanks. Oh, good lord, he's going to lose those 2 tanks in the front, I think. The tank all the way in the front goes down immediately, and MMA is going to lose his entire line here. Lucira getting in here with his banelings, rolling in a couple more from the top side just for added damage, and takes out the entire tank line. And just like that, establishes security over this hatchery, which was bleeding. It was at 442 HP. It just barely survived the shelling from the artillery from the tanks. And now Lucira can re-establish the gas and get his drones going over there. I mean, he's oversaturated at the natural because he's got too many drones. So yeah, he's going to be able to get that mining going again. And in fact, he may actually make some kind of an aggressive move here right into the Terran's front door. MMA not raising the supply depot again allows the Zerglings to get inside, and this is gonna be deadly. Oh, MMA, once again, as we saw from game 1, allowing Zerglings to just run inside his front door. I feel like MMA, his supply depot's maybe glitching out or something. He just can't seem to raise them at the right time. And this entire mineral line at the main has been ravaged, devastated by the Zerglings. MMA here actually going for his telltale drops once again, did not catch that, but doesn't look like it was able to do any damage. Lucira, though, is the one who's inflicting all the casualties right now inside the natural. He's still got Zerglings alive. The main looks like finally cleared out. The Marines finally able to clear out the Zergling pests, and able to clean that up. But MMA is still all over the map here, guys. He's still got that dropship alive. Only 1 Marine, though. I think he's probably he really wants that Overlord, too. He's going to drop the Marine in that little crevice and try to pop off the Overlord. And interestingly enough, the Zerglings, I don't know what they're doing. They're trying to figure out where they're going. I think they need a map here. And they finally found out where the Marine is. They're going to try to ward that away, and yeah, the Marine's going to fall back. Now, MMA also has, guys, a very interesting expansion location down here on the plateau, or on the valley below. Now, these rocks are going to be absolutely crucial. MMA does not want to allow these rocks to go down. Once those rocks go down, Banelings and Zerglings are just going to be able to run right into that orbital. And yeah, I mean, if you live in that house, you better get insurance. That orbital command, whoever resides in that orbital, better have 2-way insurance. Because, yeah, that would not be beautiful at all. MMA here actually spots the 4th hatchery going up, but now Lucira is switching into Mutalisks. And, of course, this Mutalisk able to pick off that Marine force pretty easily. Now, I like the Mutalisk tech switch by Lucira, but I wonder if revealing those Mutalisks to those Marines was a wise decision, because now MMA's got turrets everywhere, guys. And certainly MMA didn't have the anti-air defense earlier. Those Mutalisks could have definitely done more damage rather than just intercepting a drop. So I feel like Lucira may be throwing away a bit of an advantage right there, the element of surprise. But it doesn't look like he really cares. He's got so many Mutalisks. This is a pretty sizable Mutalisk clump. And we have, oh man, a lot of Banelings being morphed right now. Lucira catching some Marines off guard. He does have enough Mutalisks to pick off all those Marines, and that is exactly what he does. The missile turret continuing to fire away. Lucira gonna hopscotch his way right into the main, picking off several more SCVs, and Lucira is just doing a brilliant job of picking off SCVs. I mean, if we pull up that worker's kill tab, 35 SCVs killed. Oh, bit of a blunder there, losing some Mutalisks. Could have definitely kept those Mutalisks alive. And I think he's being a little bit extra cavalier with those Mutas. Definitely doesn't want to lose that many. But once again, we have another drop. MMA actually sniping the 4th hatchery. Did not notice that. Sniping the 4th hatchery. Beautifully played by MMA. Right now, Lucira actually rendezvousing his entire army down to the south as he realized, oh no, my hatchery went down. He didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. He's got to rebuild that hatchery now, and definitely another loss inflicted by a cheap handful of 8 Marines and a dropship. Very, very cheap attack. Didn't even lose anything. Brilliantly played by MMA. Now the rocks have gone down, as it seems. I don't know how those rocks went down so quickly. Perhaps the siege tanks contributed to that. But the rocks are now down, and man, those SCVs, they better get insurance, that life insurance, in fact, because those Banelings can roll in at any time unexpectedly. MMA, though, actually distracting Lucira with another dropship, once again killing off several Mutalisks, about 2 or 3 right there, and finally, that dropship should be taken out. So that's the end of that pesky, annoying drop. MMA Remember guys, his signature is those dropships. They're so good and they're so calculated. They hit the Zerg player exactly when and where they expect it least. So it really hurts, and it compounds every time you lose that hatchery. So let's check those upgrades. MMA at 1-2, Lucira at 1-2 as well. Lucira now gonna actually flood in right through this front door. MMA needs to siege up all his tanks right now. He needs to siege up and lift up that orbital, lifts up the orbital, saves the SCVs. Oh man, it needs insurance when you've got quick reaction. Beautiful reaction by MMA, keeping his SCVs and his orbital alive, and not losing all that much in the process. So good play right there. Now MMA actually going for multiple drops here. Double drop inside the main. Gonna try to drop right into the hive. Lucira got some banelings. Gonna roll into the tanks. Not the most effective trade, but able to kill off and whittle off a lot of those tanks. Good play, I think, by Lucira, but still not the most effective of trades. Now MMA has sniped off the spawning pool, and this is where it is most deadly. The Zerg player does not have the ability to produce Zerglings, which effectively means he cannot produce additional Banelings, and he may actually lose his Banelings nest as well, so any existing Zerglings cannot become Banelings. MMA with a brilliant snipe. He will lose these 2 dropships, but now is the time to push. This is an awkward time for the Zerg player. He cannot make any Zerglings or Banelings, which means these Marines are going to be godly against the Zerg. Lucira has no infestation pit, so he has nothing to counter the Marine clumps. And oh, MMA now elevating his forces downhill, going right into this 3rd hatchery, may be able to snipe off the hatchery. Lucira here gonna go for a counterattack. He loses his hatchery over there. The drones, I don't know what they're gonna do. Lucira gonna run right into the tank line in between the natural and the 3rd, able to pick off several tanks, but he will have to flee away. There's just too many Marines there. Not enough Banelings. We require more Zerglings and Banelings. Lucira is rebuilding that spawning pool as we speak, but darn, that's a huge delay because he's got to wait for the spawning pool to finish, then he can rebuild a new Baneling nest. It is certainly a big delay for Lucira right now, and MMA, I can't help but feel that he made a great attack during that awkward timing. He was able to snipe off the 3rd hatchery. Effectively now Lucira is only on 3 bases. Another drop once again. The dropships are just all over the place, guys, and these mutalisks are getting cleaved by those Marines. A good number of them going down. Another dropship going inside the main of Lucira. Oh my god, Lucira has to constantly be on his toes, and of course he doesn't have any Banelings to deal with these Marines. He still hasn't rebuilt his Banelings nest. I don't know what he's doing. He's BSODing in front of our eyes. MMA apparently passing on the computer virus here, and Lucira he has to pull his forces and deal with this frontal attack, but there's still Marines ravaging his main. The new Banelings nest is now on the way, but I don't know if it matters. He's got to deal with the tanks and Marines at the front here. He doesn't have any Banelings at all. And that just tells the story of this game. I don't know what these Zerglings are doing. Wishing they could become Banelings. MMA could possibly snipe off the lair here. The Mutalisks have been diverted to deal with the Marine Force in the main, but that means that the Natural is now under fire. The Auxiliary Hatchery goes down. The Mutalisks clean up the main, saving the lair. Good save by Lucira, but I can't help but wonder why didn't he split his Mutalisks up? And he might have been able to deal with both attacks at once, but at the same time, oh my god, Lucira has to GG. There's multiple drops going on, both at the natural and at the 3rd down below. And Lucira realizes he just doesn't have enough to deal with the massive amount of Marines, and MMA takes a game off Lucira, game 3 actually, to make this series now 2-1. What a game. That was intense dropping action. MMA was just all over the map. The APM there of MMA at a 262 average. Lucira at 281. Both players just scrambling around the map, but MMA, always being the aggressor, was able to take that game away. Brilliantly played. What a game of Starcraft. And we still have the next games coming up, guys, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button if you guys can, and next game's coming up. HD signing out.